What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Doc here, coming at you live with my man, the Professor John Gotti, the King of RNG, the Troll Master, the Data Analyzing Ninja, the Conqueror of his own fate, John Gotti. How you doing, boyo?
Best podcasting machine, El Tranquilo Declina. I'm pretty good.
Clean. I'm doing good. I know we usually have dark skies on Tuesday, but it's pretty clear. But that's also a sign that the WWE is clearing their rosters as we had more roster cuts.
Second time this month, too.
Yeah, it's so rough. First time was a little more shocking, even though we knew people were coming. I would have expected this list first. But let's go through the names really quickly, and hopefully I don't butcher too many of them.
Sure.
But we have Tony Nese, Araya Davari, Everrise, Fandango, Tyler Breeze, August Gray, the Bollywood Boys, which I found out to be ironic and hilarious, Arturo Rouse, Kurt Stallion, Rena Shafir, Killian Dane, and writer Kenise Mobley. Haha, we should start at the bottom.
Wow.
So obviously we had some headlines about Miss Mobley this week. Yikes. I don't even know.
To coin a phrase from a great man, Miss Mobley was getting way too much heat.
Yeah, but I mean, it was, I would say the warm portion was, I guess, right. I mean, it was applicable, right? I mean, here it is. She's on doing an interview and she's like, not only do I not know who the champ is, but I don't even know his name. Like, you work there. Like, it's like not knowing the CEO of your company, right?
Well, that's
like
far fetched. People
no,
they don't know the CEOs.
Listen, you work for a company. I know you get emails. Heck, even as a regular person, we get emails from CEOs of companies all the time as a consumer, right?
Yeah, as
a consumer. That's what I'm saying. As a consumer, so as a consumer, you work there. I'm sure you're getting similar emails to your work email, but obviously she knows who Vince McMahon is. That's not what we're talking about. But you would know if you're a wrestling person, right? You're working for a promotion, especially in the position that she has. You would know the major storyline people are.
Of course, you would assume,
and that's the part. That's the issue. We shouldn't have to assume as writers of an established wrestling brand such as WWE. You would think that all the writers in the rooms are writing obviously different storylines, but everybody should know at least a majority of the talent, especially the top talent, especially when the top talent is a champion.
Well, I mean, so I have two schools of thoughts with that, and I'm glad you gave me that analogy. So, sure. On one hand, I mean, and there's a third one, which is a little bit more far-fetched, but that's besides the point. So the first one is, and we keep talking about this, even though there's two world champions, there's only one champion.
I hope she knows who Roman is.
I don't think they ever asked her about that.
Yeah, they didn't. They just, I think that's the thing.
She
they
voluntarily
didn't ask. Yeah.
And
that's the problem.
Which is a problem. I'll get to that in a second. So that's the first school of thought. Like, there's two champions, but there's only one champion of the company. Despite what people may want to assume. The second is she was on a comedy podcast, so she was trying to be funny.
Of course.
And then, of course, the third, which is a little bit more far-fetched. I mean, sometimes you got to give people something to talk about.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the WWE brass, as we like to call them, did not find it funny. This
Well,
match
I
must
mean,
not continue.
it was, funny, but it wasn't funny, ha ha. Like, in Goodfellas, like funny how.
Yeah, this was no good, man. This was no
I think this is
good.
a situation where whomever is in charge of the writers, as they're onboarding, congratulations, you're going to become a writer. It's great. I'm happy about this. You should go, okay, don't say anything. Keep
Right.
it real low level. Don't
Super
volunteer information.
Generic.
And don't if you feel like you're being baited into giving information that you might think is detrimental to the company, don't say it. In the words
Right.
of the salesman from The Simpsons, there's the truth and the truth.
Right.
We
Exactly.
assume which one she did. So yes, that's her situation talk.
Right. But then we get down to my guy, the guy who I felt should have been pushed to the moon. That's Tyler Breeze, Prince Pretty himself. Obviously started Mike Dalton in the FCW era and re-emerged as Tyler Breeze once NXT kicked off. And I just felt like they could have really, really did some work. They could have probably worked him and like I said, Dolph Ziggler, probably could have worked him with like a Randy Orton. I think it could have just worked him a little more than they did, but he got into this, tag team partnership with Fandango, who was also released. And like I said, I just didn't think it did him any justice. Sure, it was funny, but that goes back to the ha thing that you just said previously.
Yeah, because everything's all about, funny how. Shout out to
Right.
Joe Pesci.
No, absolutely. So that's my thing. I just feel like he really has a lot of potential, and I think he can wrestle also. That's the one thing I will say I like about him a lot, is that he can wrestle.
He could wrestle.
And
he had a character that worked, which was unique.
yeah, it was different. I could imagine him with the belt, man, just having that selfie stick. And I mean, he could have been a major heel or a major face. It didn't matter, but he could have got some serious heat, man.
He could have. And I know you're hoping that he might go to AEW. I think he might go to Impact. I just had an epiphany right now that he might actually go to Ring of Honor. Him and Dalton Castle would be an amazing match.
Right. And I think if they would have just allowed him to, even though it sounds dumb, if they would have just allowed him to crack a few heads with the selfie stick, I just think it would have been gold.
There's no more headshots anymore. It would be
I know. Yeah, whatever it is. I just feel like if they would have just let him swing that selfie stick a few times, we would have had something. Now the last one that I was surprised at, actually last two, I was actually surprised that the WWE actually did release the Bollywood Boys.
Yeah, they were absolutely doing. They were in 205 Live. Like this set of cuts was more focused on 205 Live. If you really think about it.
But if you remember, though,
after your homeboy, the modern day Maharaja, had his run back in 2016, that was it.
I can't believe that was 5 years ago.
That was it. It was a flash in the pan, a cup of coffee, goodbye.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what I'm thinking here, and I think Jinder was off TV for at least a year and a half. It seemed like. I know he got injured, and then obviously,
yep.
Obviously, writers, they don't know what to write Jinder, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's involved in one of the next cuts because they just got nothing for him. But it all comes down to the money, I guess.
It's always about the money, which that's more on WWE trying to hold on to all their chips onto the table and not really let anyone go. but then you have nothing for them, and you're paying people multi-million-dollar contracts just to sit at home, as you'd like to say. So that's more on them.
Yeah. And of course, the last one from me was Killian Dane, obviously a fan favorite in NXT. I did read a headline from Dave Meltzer that said Killian Dane wasn't a Vince McMahon guy.
Yeah, we could kind of see that one though. That's not really news, unfortunately, Mr. Meltzer.
But the 36-year-old is a part of the cuts, and I think he will go on to wrestle, obviously, on the circuit. I mean, I don't see everybody going to AEW, and we talked about this previously. I mean, if they didn't bring in, the likes of, Aleister Black and Braun Strowman, I've seen a few people that, I mean, absolutely have been shredding since their cuts, including Murphy from before and a couple other guys. Like, people are just working hard trying to get their bodies right, or they're swimming with elephants. However you want to look at it. So it's a lot going on, but Killian Dane's one of those fan favorites that I think the people would have liked for him to stay, but he did say that he was, of course, angry, but he's going to use this release and pretty much put a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah. Luckily, his wife is back on TV, so that helps out.
Exactly. I mean,
wait,
hopefully that character. I do. Okay. Hopefully that Crazy Mary, right?
I wasn't going to go there.
It's all good.
She didn't release, by the way.
I know.
And also, congrats on her, baby. Congrats on Cody and Brandy Rhodes, baby. And congrats to Jon Moxley and Renee, baby, as well. Because it was baby fever.
It was, of course, Seth Rollins and Baby Rue.
Oh, we did that one already.
I mean, they all kind of just like popped out, a month or two.
I gave my flowers to them. I'm ready to move on.
That's good that we're giving flowers, though. I like how we give flowers and other people don't. But let's take a quick break and let's come back with some more debate amongst friends right after this.
It's starting. Doc, it's starting. Did I or did I not say that the Phoenix Suns must close out this game? I said that, right?
You did.
It didn't happen, Doc.
Did not.
3-2 series. Heading back to Staples Center. Playoff anomaly, or as those want to call him, Playoff P, is demanding respect. He says he got way too much heat. He says it is what it is. Doc, this was a very peculiar game.
Agreed. Again, the Suns and the Clippers are two great teams. And I mentioned this yesterday, saying that I felt like the Clippers have a team that can really, really play. It's just a matter of really getting the work out of them. And this is one of those games, which we saw in the last series, where they finally got the production from Mr. Marcus Morris Sr. to help Paul George. Reggie Jackson had 23. Johnny Boogie had 15 points. So, but if you notice, and this is where I said that Zubac comes into play, and this might be why the Suns maybe didn't play as well, is because they were expecting Zubac to be on the floor. The Clippers nobody outside of Paul George got the rebounds. He actually had 13. Batum had 8, but usually it's Zubac manning that middle. So that's the thing I will say is a discrepancy here that the Suns should have took advantage of, but it doesn't look as though they were able to really take advantage of that. I mean, I would have expected DeAndre Ayton to have a better game. Obviously, he went 10 points, 11 rebounds. But that's where the Suns, I believe, lost this game. They didn't take advantage of that particular aspect. It looks like the Clippers here ran a little bit more on them. And obviously, like I said, the supporting cast, when they're helping, I think Paul George can easily fill in, but he also shot 15 of 20, which is probably one of the best games he's had in the playoffs so far.
Literally one of the best games he had in the playoffs. I was going to open up with that, but this is why I called him playoff anomaly.
So, yeah.
Come on.
But when you also look at everybody else, everybody shot, except for Terrence Mann, all the other starters also shot plus 50% from the field. So it was just a really, really good shooting night. And not to take anything away from Chris Paul and Devin Booker, who, shot over 40% from the field. But it just wasn't enough. They got the help that they needed from their bench. Honestly, I just feel like they didn't take advantage of the paint play enough. Without Zubac there, I feel like when DeMarcus Cousins wasn't in the game, you're talking about maybe 6'8", right? 6'8", 6'9", maybe being the tallest person on the field, or excuse me, on the court. Wow, not the field. That's where I just feel like
6'8" with that being Marcus Morris.
Yeah, and I need DeAndre Ayton 6'11" to get in there and dominate and close this game out. But honestly, I know that we talked about this potentially going 7 if the Clippers can stay alive, but I feel like the Suns are going to close it out next game in LA, similar to how they did in Denver.
I hope you're right. I hope
believe
so.
I would.
Because I said before, if the Clippers get to a game 7.
Oh, yeah, without question.
With the way they've been, now they're showing their scrappiness.
Yeah.
Last night was the time to do it.
It really was. But that's when we have the playoff anomaly where, we're going to have, are we going to have that same Paul George show up,
Exactly.
So.
But then Reggie Jackson is just hitting daggers. Just hitting daggers. Everyone wants to throw their flowers at playoff P.
Anomaly. We should just go anomaly.
But Reggie Jackson was the one that got them. It was Reggie Jackson in the 4, folks. It really was.
And he's always been a solid player. But again, there's solid players, there's stars, there's superstars, and then there's the future GOATs of the game, I guess.
Yep.
But we'll see what happens. Obviously, we have the next game, game 4 of the Milwaukee-Atlanta series, which goes again in Atlanta. We'll see if Trae Young does actually play.
Mm-hmm.
Can Giannis lead the Bucks? I'm going to say Giannis and Middleton. I think, like I said, I think they can. I just don't want them to sleep on the Hawks if Trae doesn't play, because they have some other really, really good shooters that if they get hot, I think they could still play well without Trae Young.
All I would say is this. If Trae Young end up not playing and the Bucks lose the game and Trae Young managed to get at least 80% healthy.
Right.
This is the same scenario as this current series in the West.
Yeah, same.
The same scenario.
Yeah, because the Clippers are just trying to hold on to see if, Kawhi can come back and,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like talking about hamstringing along, folks.
Don't get me started with that. Don't get me started with that.
Oh goodness! But before Doc do his outro, I want to give a big shout out to the European Championship League, the round of 16. Big shout outs to England. Hope they win today against Germany.
I wanted to give a huge shout out to Diana Taurasi.
Yes.
Of the Phoenix Mercury, first player in WNBA history to eclipse 9,000 points.
Wait. I gotta do the meme. It's over 9,000!
Which is amazing. I'm surprised that it hasn't been done because there was some really. The only reason I said there's been some really good WNBA scorers. But I don't know if anybody's played as long as she has.
Exactly, length of time and number of games played, and
But yeah,
and then
but
also one final shout out to the Brady family because they are creating their own cryptocurrency.
Yeah, they're an interesting family. I feel them. I'll definitely be keeping an eye out on it, and hopefully, with that crypto, can celebrate another Super Bowl. That I'm sure that'll spike the numbers a little bit. But with that, I know you heard this show on your favorite podcast platform, but if you didn't, you can always go to our website at www.debateamongstfriends.com for this episode as well as our previous episodes. Be sure to tune in tomorrow as we go over Game 4 of Milwaukee and Atlanta to see if the Bucks are able to take that 3-1 lead or if it's tied 2-2. But be sure to tune in daily, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Oh, wow, I was about to give work hours, not 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., but 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for more news, more analysis, and the reads.